Well, hello people, welcome to my channel. My name's Mark David. I'm a cartoonist and I'm here to teach you how to draw cartoons. That's right, even if you think you can't draw, my job is to prove that wrong. My job is to prove that anyone can do this stuff. All you have to do is, well, subscribe to this channel, hint, hint, and then watch the videos, hint, hint, and check out some of the tricks I'm showing you, because you realize that it's not rocket science. It's actually quite easy. I've taught kids as young as 4, all ages up to people in their 70s and 80s, and so far they've all been able to do this stuff. So I reckon there's a good chance you can too. Now, this is a what's known as a very young YouTube channel. At the time of recording this video, it's only about a week old. So I've reached 7 subscribers. I know there are people out there with 1 million subscribers. Good for them. I applaud that achievement. Well, me personally, I can say I'm well on track to 8 subscribers. And hopefully this video is the one which will do that, exactly that. And why do I have so much confidence in this video? Well, because I've been watching to see what kind of videos are doing well on YouTube. And one of the genres of YouTube videory, whatever the term is, videos, is the tarot reading. That's right, people read tarot cards, and folks watch those videos and it's like getting a free tarot reading. I thought, I can do that. I don't know anything much about tarot, but I can do a tarot reading, can't I? Not as well as the people who do this for a living. I accept that, but I'm a cartoonist. I'm going to give it a go. Why not? So perhaps for the first time on YouTube, I won't say that really, because there's not much that hasn't been done already on YouTube, but the first time on my channel, I'm going to read you my tarot reading, my tarot cards, my cartoon tarot reading. I'm going to draw the cards and then read them. That's what I'm going to do. Why wouldn't you want to subscribe to a channel like that? Hint, hint. There you go. So what have we got? What's going to be our first tarot card reading? The first tarot card reading is going to be hopefully drawing insight into drawing cartoons. So my first card's going to be about drawing cartoons. So let's give this a go. Tarot, tarot, tell me your tarot wisdom about drawing cartoons. What have we got? Hopefully it's not a scary card, you know, like a tower card, because a tower card, don't want one of those. Just going to move this down a little bit. There we go. Because a tower card infers collapse and destruction and no, it's the tarot tower card. How did that happen so quickly, so soon into the reading? Giant lightning bolt hits the tower and the whole lot comes crashing down. No. It's quite a gloomy looking card, isn't it, the tower card? But it doesn't have to be all that gloomy really, and because what it can represent is the collapse of an existing situation or an existing paradigm. And that's not always a bad thing, because sometimes when you collapse one paradigm, it makes space for something better. We can only hope that's the case for this one. And what has this got to do with drawing cartoons? Well, quite a lot, because a tarot doesn't get things wrong. I read that on a tarot website, that tarot website said that tarot gets it right. So there we go. We got it right this time. Drawing cartoons, going through a tower moment. Yeah, well, yes, it has. See, when I went to art college, that was in the late 70s and early 80s, we learned how to do stuff on paper. We used paints and inks and and markers and pencils on paper. That's what we did. Now, a lot of people don't work like that anymore. It's all gone digital. The whole industry of working on paper for the papers has gone through a huge decline. It's collapsed, just like this tower. It's collapsed. It's been hit by the digital revolution, and people like myself now draw our cartoons on computer. It's done digitally. Now, I know there's some folks out there still using paper and inks and watercolors, and they're doing beautiful work. I applaud what they're doing. And if you also choose to use pencil and paper and pens, well, good. If that's what you prefer to do, I want you to use whatever works best for you, whatever gives you the best results. That's what I want you to do. And you don't have to work on a computer screen like I do, but just be aware that the industry has become digitized, because even if you work on paper, you give that to a client, he's going to scan in or photograph it. It becomes digitized, becomes like a TIFF or a JPEG file. And it then goes into some production software. It all becomes digital. So even if you don't use computers, just be aware that they're a big part of the industry now. That's the change. So the existing paradigm collapsed, tower moment, replaced with the digital platform that we're in today. So there we go. Tarot got it right. It's almost spooky. So we'll get rid of that one and read our next tarot card. This tarot stuff's kind of fun. I'm enjoying this tarot. We've just talked about drawing cartoons. What does tarot have to say about the cartoon industry? And when I say what does tarot have to say, I mean not taro. Let's not get confused. Taro is a root vegetable, popular in countries like Fiji. I won't be reading root vegetables today. I'm going to be reading taro. Notice the difference, taro, not taro. No root vegetables in this video. So what does the tarot have to teach us about the cartoon industry? Hopefully it's not a scary card like it was last time. That was just too scary. Because people look at the tower card and they think, oh, all that doom and destruction and oh no, and pain and suffering and loss, and it is kind of scary. And no, it's another tower moment, another tower card. What are the chances? This is unprecedented. Well, maybe not unprecedented. It's unprecedented on this channel because this is the first time I've done tarot, probably the last. And it's to do with, what is it to do with the cartoon industry? What does the tarot have to say about the cartoon industry that looks so scary as this? Why another tower moment? This is scary stuff, isn't it? I'm just going to delete that, there we go, delete the lines. Yeah, that's better. That's a better picture now. It's not a great picture, but never mind. But it's clearly a tower moment. Goodness, how scary is that? Oh, they always have little people falling out of it too. I don't know why. Kind of, maybe that's why people are so much afraid of the tower card, because it looks so scary and full of drama and pain. It doesn't have to be painful. The change of a paradigm doesn't have to be painful, although it often can be difficult. I'll grant you that. So cartoon industry, tarot, tower moment. What's the deal here? Well, yes. Once again, tarot got it right. 2 out of 2, tarot. Well done to you, tarot. The cartoon industry is in a bit of a tower moment. We're seeing the collapse of the industry which I moved into in the 1980s. I got a job working for a big newspaper in the 1980s. That was a big time, exciting time for me. Got to meet some terrific people, make some great friends, because back then the papers used to make bucket loads of money out of advertising, print advertising, especially the little classified ads. If you're selling like a car or a bookshelf or a bicycle or anything, you'd buy a classified ad, a little ad about this deep in a single column wide, little thing about that size, tiny little advertisement, costs about $20 or $30, and and they'd run the ad in the paper, and people would buy the paper just for the classifieds a lot of the time. And these papers were publishing hundreds, thousands of these ads constantly, and they used to call it the rivers of gold. The advertising was making them very much a viable organisation, and they could afford these big, healthy, active art departments, and that's where I got my job. I was so lucky to get a job working for a newspaper in that time because they could afford to have artists. I used to have work for a department, something like 50, 60 artists, and they were fantastic, talented people. My goodness, they were good at what they did. To get that job was a real feather in my cap. I was so happy to work amongst those lovely people, and then something scary happened. A thing called the internet came along. The internet, I'm sure you've heard of it. Internet came along, and suddenly all that beautiful advertising money that was going into the classified ads, well, all went online. It went to these new digital online web-based platforms, and the newspapers lost their revenue. They're still getting some revenue, but not like the good old days. And the result is that some newspapers have closed down. Some newspapers have just had to shed staff. Those beautiful big art departments have had to ask people to work fewer days. My friends who are working 5 days a week doing terrific stuff, through no fault of their own, they're now being asked to work 1 day a week rather than 5 days a week. They've been asked to cut back on their shifts because the paper either can't afford them or just doesn't have the space in the paper, because the size of the paper is determined by how much advertising you get. Reduce the ads, you've got to have fewer pages, and then by the time you run the stories, there's no room for cartoons. And the whole enterprise shrinks because advertising revenue goes down. So now that sounds to me like a Tower moment. Tarot, you got it right again. Tarot's spooky, isn't it, this tarot? I think this is... this tarot, I think I'm onto something with this tarot, even though I know so little about tarot cards. I know about the Tower card, I think. There is a bit of that. So another tower, 2 Tower cards in a row. Who'd have thought? Hey? In a cartooning channel of all things. So yeah, the channel is highlighting the fact that the cartoon industry is suffering a lot because the newspaper industry is suffering a lot. The newspaper industry used to keep us going, and newspapers are doing it tough because all the advertising revenue has abandoned the newspapers, the print newspapers, and it's now moving online. Even newspapers that are online, they don't have those rivers of gold like they used to in the good old days in the 1980s, when newspapers were so big they'd often be published in 4 sections. You had to take home like a wheelbarrow load full of newspaper to get all those classified ads home. Every one of those ads was making money for the paper. Not anymore. Papers have shrunk, and so have the art departments. Clearly a Tower moment. So, tarot, got it right. It's time to move on to our next tarot reading, and it's going to be, well, we talked about drawing cartoons. The second one was talking about the cartoon industry. Now we're going to talk about the world in which the industry is having to survive. So, tarot, tell us about the state of the world. Tarot, do that for us now. So what have we got for the world? Okay. And it's another tarot card on its way. And no, it happens to be another Tower card. No, what are the chances? Put down a bit. 3 Tower cards. My goodness, this is a scary tarot reading. 3 Tower cards, 3 collapses in the industry, in the business drawing cartoons, and the world. What's going on? Tarot. Why do you want to have 3 Tower cards? That's just like, that's crazy talk, that is. Well, let me tell you why I've got 3 Tower cards. In the In my cartooning business, I work as a political cartoonist and for a lovely online journal called Independent Australia. And in Independent Australia, we talk about politics a lot. And so for me to do my job, I have to understand what's going on in politics. All political cartoonists do. We have to spend a lot of our time, in our own time, our spare time, reading up about politics. And I'll be honest with you, I've been following politics for 30, 40 years, and I've never seen politics like it is now. It is so angry. I mean, seriously, I've never seen society as polarized as it is now, so tribal. I mean, people people going one way into one tribe or one way into another tribe, and the two sides aren't relating to each other. They're living in different worlds, and they hate the other side, and it's a shame. I've got friends who vote both ways. In Australia, we've got the Labor Party, which is like the American Democratic Party, and we've got the Liberal National Party coalition, which is like the Republicans, and just like in America, where people hate each side, we're getting people in Australia hating the other side. It doesn't have to be like that. We all in Australia, we should all be living as Australians and getting on with each other. We should be able to talk to our neighbours. And my theory is that if you have to follow politics, then okay, follow politics. But if you follow politics and you find yourself angry and hating and wanting to hurt people as a result, then you're doing it wrong. Politics is not like that. I mean, look at someone like William Shakespeare. He was a smart fella. He said that the whole world is a stage. I tend to agree with that. I think that's true on quite a deep level, the whole world being a stage. So don't think of yourself as, if you're drawing cartoons and you follow politics, don't think of yourself as some warrior out to hurt people. Think of yourself as the world being a stage, and your theatre, it's all theatre, and you're the theatre critic. You're doing jokes about the theatre, not trying to hurt people. You just keep your jokes on a level that you can live with. And if you think of the world as theatre, not a place to hate, a place full of hate, not only will that improve your cartoons, but you'll sleep better at night too, as a little fringe benefit. So there is that. I'm reminded actually of when I used to live in Sydney, and I lived in a inner city suburb, which had been a very older suburb in Sydney. Excuse me. And I used to come home late at night, switch on the light to make myself a cup of tea, to sit and watch TV, and I got home to chill out after the stress of the job. And I used to make a cup of tea, and I turned the lights on the kitchen, and the kitchen bench would be covered with cockroaches, and it was a shock to see the cockroaches. And I used to think, ugh, that's really disgusting. That's very confronting. That's nasty. And it wasn't that the turning on the light is what made things bad. It wasn't that it was any worse after I turned the light on. The cockroaches had always been there. The cockroaches had always been there all along, but turning on the light just meant I was suddenly aware of them. And I think that's what we're seeing at the moment. So yeah, we're seeing people do bad things. We're seeing people not behaving according to the rules. We're seeing power grabs and uneven distribution of wealth. We're seeing environmental issues reaching quite serious points. It's looking pretty bad. These things, folks, have always been going on, but now we're really seeing it. And if you can see it, it means you can choose better what kind of future you want to be in. Because if people weren't aware of the stuff in the past, they might have continued to vote for the same old power structures and been effectively part of the problem. Now they're seeing what these people are really like, and they can maybe make a better, more informed choice about what kind of world they want. That's not a bad thing. This is where the tower card represents a collapse of the old power structures, and then the old power structures are trying to claw the way back into the power they once had. But it's collapsing, and it's ugly. As things collapse, we're seeing a lot of very confronting stuff, because a lot of light is being shone on all this ugliness. And someone once said that the the strongest light casts the harshest shadows, the hardest shadows. And we're seeing a lot of hard shadows now, aren't we? And that's why if you work as a cartoonist, like I do, and you're confronted by a lot of confronting, scary stuff, the trick is to look at it like Shakespeare did. Look at it as theatre and see it that way, and draw your cartoons from that angle, because it's going to be much better than just being angry and hateful and upset and fearful all the time. Angry and upset and fearful, that just plays right into the old power structure, doesn't it? Because you're running around fearing and hating people and divided, well, it makes you easier to boss around. But if you feel empowered by not being afraid all the time, it makes you more in charge of yourself as a person. It puts you in a stronger position, harder to boss around. To make your own decisions, not according, let your brain decide, not your fear decide. So a bit of light is actually a good thing. It enables you to make better choices. That's what I think. And again, people say to me, no, Mark, you're wrong. What do you know about anything? They say, this is all ugly, and why would anyone choose ugliness? And it's horrible, there's nothing good about it. Well, I disagree. And I think people who say that are demonstrably wrong anyway, because getting back to Shakespeare about the whole world being a stage, if the whole world was a whole bunch of theatre, these people who say they would never choose such ugly theatre, well, I disagree. They choose ugly theatre all the time. Look at the biggest box office movies. They're disaster movies. They're horror movies. People love this stuff, and they turn around and say they would never choose that kind of theatre in the real world. Maybe I should do a cartoon about that. Thank you for watching.